Marc Spears of ESPN joining us. Spearsy, what are you thinking of today?
I don't know that I've really taken the time I needed to reflect on it, to grieve on it, and perhaps everything that has happened over the past year has just made that hard to do. But when, I think about him, I think of some of the funny moments, some of the brilliant moments, some of the private moments I had with him. Even a simple thing like, telling him I got the job at the Undefeated. And we always talk via email. And, he sent me an email back and on March 22nd, 2016. It says, "Happy for you, my brother, right from the heart. Always here always here for you." And, I was there tonight when his jerseys got retired and I bumped into him, and I remember him telling me congrats, and he was proud of me and loved what I was doing at the Undefeated. I'm like, this is your night, dude. Like, why you worried about me, man? This is your night. And, that just kind of tells you the kind of guy he was, man. He really cared about people. And I think the saddest thing for me is like, as much greatness as he accomplished on the court, I think he was going to probably eclipse it with what he could potentially do off the court. And unfortunately, we won't be able to see that.
So much talk about what the second, third, fourth, and fifth chapters would have been for Kobe Bryant. But what strikes me, and even in reading your tweet earlier today about what he said to you when you got the job at the Undefeated, was everything he was criticized for during his career, like cold, calculated, killer on the court who struggled to understand anyone who did not put the effort in. He was near the opposite in chapter number 2, or at least the start of chapter number 2.
Yeah, I think in the final years of his career, he was mapping out what was next. Like, he was happy that it was over, and he was happy for the challenge that was on the way. I think the last big interview I did with him was about his books that he was doing, Cuisinart books, which is like about the size of World and Peace, man. They're these really, really big books, but they were deep because he had characters that were characters of color, characters that were mixed, and they had superpowers. And, his wife, Latina and Latinx, and he, wanted his daughters to see mixed characters. He wanted his daughters to see characters that looked like them that could be superheroes too. And if his daughters saw that, then the world was going to be able to see that as well. And I think he was going to do a tremendous amount for race relations, a tremendous amount for people of color, a tremendous amount for women in sports. And it was just like, it was the beginning chapter of that. There was so much that he wanted to do from a animation, movie, sports standpoint. Like, I truly believe that with everything that went on last year, he certainly would have been somebody that even racist people would have listened to, because they loved him so much. So, yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get that, and I still don't know if I've truly come to grips with the fact that he's gone.
Marc Spears of ESPN here on Tim and Sid. Exactly 1 year from the date Kobe Bryant was killed alongside his daughter that day in California. From a basketball standpoint, Spearsy, I've been thinking about this today a little bit. Kobe was top level for most of his career, and it's just I'm starting to think he was the last. I mean, he was the last of a lot, but he was the last of that superstar who, and I know he technically wasn't drafted a Laker, but to go kind of front to back, and Giannis could be that guy, right? Like, there's some kids that I want to give the benefit of the doubt to that could be that kind of player, but I think Curry, like, there aren't many left, who are going in this Instagram age, who are going to just, and he wasn't always happy. I understand that. We understand that, but he stayed. And I just feel like that kind of era of player at that level, I don't know if we're going to see much of that anymore.
Well, the one thing also, I don't know how many people we're going to see now that had that killer instinct. Like, he actually had an entire league afraid of him. Right? One thing we can laugh about, as we can see from his moment with Chris Childs, he wasn't the greatest fighter in the world in terms of, like, you weren't going to put him in a ring against nobody. He wasn't going to beat you there. But on the court, he was mentally the strongest, mentally athletically gifted, athletically intimidating, would let you know what he was going to do, would just have all the skills, all the talent, never gave up. It was incredible to me that on those bad Lakers teams he played with Chris Mims and Smush Parker, that the games were still packed, that people were excited to go. Like, that 81-point game against the Raptors, that team was trash. Like, did they win that game? I don't even remember if they won that game.
They did.
But, I mean, like, he won the game for them. That team wasn't any good, but he was still the price of admission in L.A. And the only person I ever saw that was able to, like, get under his skin a little bit was Paul Pierce. That was it. Everybody else basically looked at him like he was a god on the floor. And he made you better. And, even if you didn't want to hear it, he was going to let you know and push to bring out the best in you. And if you couldn't handle it, then go. Go. Yeah. He just, nobody was like him. I don't know if there will be anybody else like him. He, like, when you say who was the next Michael Jordan, to me, it was him. It was him. And so to be able to have a great seat to see him at his finest, like, I started covering the NBA in '99. I was actually in LA, did some Lakers games when he was a rookie. But to see him in his prime, in face to face, like, to see it, not just watch it on TV, but to actually see it, it's hard to explain how amazing it was.
Marc Spears joining us here on Tim and Sid. Before we let you go, this is the toughest question, and I understand it, but and I don't know when we will know if it's actually true, or what is actually true. What's the legacy? Like, what will he? I know that the Undefeated talked to players. I know that James Wiseman was talking about his history, but, like, Sabrina Ionescu, like, the women who take up the game, like, I feel like his legacy will be written for years and years down this road.
No, he's an icon. He's like, on that list with, like, when you mention people like Ali and Pele and, some of the greatest sports people in the world has known, on and off the court, he's that. He's a champion. He, overcame some very big odds, overcame some dark times too. Yeah. And, we didn't always see eye to eye. We had our issues. Remember, I used to work in Denver, Colorado, where that state was, part of his problems. He once slammed the door in my face, and we talked and we got over it. But then there was one team that I think he grew a lot from that. And I remember going to a charity game for Hurricane Katrina victims, which included my parents, a lot of my family members, and being there with the elite players in the NBA. But he was the only one that pulled me to the side to ask me how my parents was doing, to ask me about how my family was doing, like to get details about what they were dealing with. He's the only player I've known that, his last year of his career, he brought me into the trainer's room and was asking me about how things were going with Yahoo. and like, you care? Like, really? And he cared. He cared. Like, he wanted to know. And that's the email I got where he like, right from your heart. Like, he was the master. I don't even know how much time we got here. I'm just rambling on. But he was the master of, if people came to see him, after a game. It was always somebody a note or somebody interesting, or maybe it was a kid, Make-A-Wish kid or somebody. He would go out of his way to basically study that person before he got a chance to meet him. And I would see people nervously waiting outside the locker room to talk to him and get to, to meet him for the first time. And these would be like people of note, right? Man, he'd walk in, hey, Jason, yeah, man, I read about all the da-da-da-da that you're doing, blah, 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 blah. And then you see, like, all of a sudden this whole wall come down, and these people would be, like, talking to Kobe like they'd known each other for years. And I was like, that's how he got into the business world outside of basketball. He was brilliant. He was a brilliant people person who, got down on air. He never acted like he was better than you other than when he was on the court. Now, on the court, he's trying to take your head off. He definitely felt like he was better than you. But then off of it, he was trying to pick your brain. He was trying to learn from you. He was trying to get better as a human and get better in the business world. And so that's why I just wish we could have saw like what was next. Like there was so much more that was next that we'll never see.
I know a closing line when I hear it. He's Marc Spears of ESPN's The Undefeated. Spearsy, we on any day we appreciate you jumping on. On a day like today, with so many thoughts and emotions still very much in the air, we are lucky to have you on. Take care, man. Thank you.
Well, I will say this: Kobe and Shaq were an amazing duo, but they eventually broke up. Tim and Sid, you're an amazing duo. I know. Congratulations, Tim, on where you're going. And I'm gonna miss y'all being together, man. You guys are an amazing duo. You guys are friends. I know you'll remain friends and can continue greatness to you both. You guys are definitely legends.
Appreciate it, homie. Be well, man.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.